In April, I ran around Taiwan. I was stopped 10 times. First of all, I was shocked at how many people were stopped there. They were probably thinking, who is this crazy foreigner running in like the middle of the day on the side of the road? And I was stopped 10 times. I'm JJ, stands for John Joseph. Kids call me Teacher John. I come from Toronto, Ontario, just outside of Toronto, Ontario. I grew up in the countryside, very small village, about 4 hours outside. And I do a few things in Taiwan, but mainly I teach.
How long have you been in Taiwan?
I've been here for 7.5 years.
Why do you choose to come to Taiwan?
I think I was in my mid-20s, and I was not quite sure what I was doing with my life at the time. I was living in Toronto, was in the Army Reserves part-time, and I walked dogs. So my dad, he was teaching high school in Malaysia, and he said, why don't you come out to Malaysia and see what it's like here? And so I moved in with my dad in Malaysia. He was teaching at an international school there, teaching high school. Those who had taught ESL said, hey, why don't you try teaching English? There's lots of jobs available. Colleagues of my dad who had taught ESL, they said, if you get the chance, try and get a job in Taiwan. And so when I put my resume up on the job board, immediately I was blown away by how many job offers there were. But there was only one, I think, from Taiwan. And so I went with my dad's colleagues' advice, and I took that job in Taiwan. And so that's how I ended up here.
Did a person tell you any details about why you should go to Taiwan?
I think it was generally like, you'll live a good life, like it's a good quality of life. I knew nothing about Taiwan. I remember driving to Dolio, that's where my recruiter lived, and seeing the signs, and I was like, what's that? Like, what language is that? I didn't even know that they spoke Chinese, so I knew literally nothing. One of my first classes that I took in Europe, it was in a French class, and we needed to write countries that we wanted to go to. And I remember half the countries that I wrote were cities. I didn't realize that, like, I was like, I want to visit Rome. I thought it was a country. And so, like my eyes were obviously open to like how big the world is, and learned a lot.
When coming here, do you had this intention of staying this long?
No, I think it was around maybe the 3-year mark that I started to get it, like feel that I was close to permanent residency, and that kind of solidified my intention to stay longer. And then I got permanent residency. Us foreigners, we have it pretty lucky here. Like the life is not too difficult for us, and so permanent residency makes that even kind of more so the case. That, having permanent residency and being in a relationship, actually even aside from those factors, Taiwan is just such an amazing weather. The quality of life, like being able to take a paycheck and keep, a good chunk of it, only have to put some of it towards rent and cost of living. That is, a big one for sure. The nature, it's easy to get out, and even being in the middle of the city here, we can find our way to rivers and mountains in like 45 minutes. So I've gotten really into getting out into nature since moving here, and that's just one of like a list of like 15 things that would keep me here. I think the people are the nicest among any countries I've been to. Also, the security. There was a really, really nice looking bicycle, and I was like, when is whoever owns this bike going to like come take their bike back? It was like a beautiful, looked like brand new, and I swear I ran for a whole month in that bicycle. It didn't move.
Still there.
So that's just an example of how much you can trust people here, I think, with your things and with safety. Yeah, like I love Taiwan. So yeah, I think I'll be here a long time.
What's the nicest thing someone has done for you here?
There are so many, and I feel like I think at one point I actually started a note on my phone, but I feel like it's so easy to forget sometimes about nice things that people have done for you. And there have been so many. In April, I ran around Taiwan. And
You run around Taiwan.
yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. That's
Yeah.
cool.
And so, on one of the hottest days of that run, I was stopped 10 times. I was running along the side of the road, and it was hot and blue sky. I was completely exposed to the sun, and I was stopped 10 times by Taiwanese families who wanted to offer me water. And I was shocked first of all, I was shocked at how many people were stopping. At one point, I think I had, because I was running with a vest, I think I had 1 bottle in my hands and 2 in my running vest pockets because so many people were stopping to offer me water. They were probably thinking, who is this crazy foreigner running in like the middle of the day on the side of the road? You know that highway everyone has to go, everyone has to take to get to Kenting. And I was stopped 10 times by Taiwanese people who wanted to offer me cold water. One taxi driver stopped and had a cold water for me and a rice dumpling. And I was so thankful. At the same time, I was like, this is getting really hard because I'm carrying so much stuff. But I feel like that day just represents, in a way, like the kindness of the Taiwanese.
You mentioned foreigners, we are lucky to be here. Why is that?
How much of a priority speaking English it is to the Taiwanese helps, because all we need to do is speak our native language and we have a pretty decent job available to us. So I think that's a big factor. Simply possessing a passport from one of the countries that they are an English first language speaking country gives us an open door to having a good job.
If you are to introduce any Canadian culture to Taiwanese, what Canadian culture would you introduce to them?
Pubs with live music are a pretty popular thing. In the summertime, you won't find a free space at a patio. Canadians love to have a drink outside on the patio. So that would be nice to see some chairs set out in front of restaurants, people going out and enjoying the weather and sitting out. Here, I think a lot of times they'll say, "Oh, too hot. I want AC." So being out and enjoying the sunshine. Maybe it's because we're spoiled here and we get sunshine almost year round that they aren't as frantic to get out and enjoy it.
What part of Taiwanese culture do you find most fascinating?
The ghosts are it's interesting how they live and what they believe, like what languages they speak. I find that to be super interesting, and I'd like to learn more about that. Like how in the mid-40s, people were speaking Japanese and Taiwanese and Hakka, and then all of a sudden they weren't allowed to, and Mandarin became the language. And I believe when Chiang Kai-shek came back in 1949, that speaking Japanese became not allowed. So now you have some people who identify as more Chinese, who might have been here, who might have come with Chiang Kai-shek after 1949. And then you have those who maybe went through colonization or whose grandparents, great-grandparents were here before Taiwan became a Japanese colony, who might have more of a Taiwanese identity. And so I find that part to be pretty interesting.
What advice would you give to anyone who wishes to come to Taiwan?
Do it. That would be my advice. Do it. Think about what your interests are, what you like, and then base where specifically you want to move to based on that. When I moved to Taiwan, I knew nothing about it, and I ended up in Nantou. If I could have chosen based on what I know now, if I was like a countryside person, or if I didn't need lots of stimulation and things to do, I'd probably choose Ilan, maybe, because you get the East Coast air, the clean air, but you also have access to the city. Then again, Ilan is rainier than Taidong, so maybe, right. I don't know, maybe Taidong, because you have the nice sunshine, and I feel like it must be a pretty relaxed vibe there, and that East Coast air. If you're able to get a good job and make a good living in Taidong, that'd probably have to be it.
Being a teacher for this long, what are some of the differences you've noticed, Taiwan, Malaysia, Canada, compared to the education system here in Taiwan?
School goes forever here. Like, it doesn't end.
Yes, it doesn't
It
end.
starts early and ends late. So, growing up, I was involved in a lot of sports, like extracurricular, not just sports, but extracurriculars. Just not more school after school. So in terms of like the schooling, maybe trying to offer or make it more normal for students to stop school at like 4 p.m. or so and to go to their team practice or to their chess club or to their piano class and not stay at school until 8 or 9 p.m.
Do you have anything else to tell Taiwanese people?
Those people who are friendly to foreigners and as I've experienced with most, thank you. Thank you for welcoming us. Yeah, well, I need Taiwan.
All right, thank you very much for sharing your wisdom here in Taiwan and hope you continue to prosper here in Taiwan.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.